Hello, Narnach here. Welcome to HEX Shards of Fate. HEX is a trading card game that completely embraces the fact that it's digital. For people who know Magic the Gathering, they will instantly spot that they are very similar. But HEX basically took Magic as a starting point, and from there they just pushed it to the digital limits. So I'm just going to briefly show some of the cards, just to get a little bit of a glance, and then I'll dive into the Frostring Arena to play a match or two. So there are 5 colors. You got Sapphire Blue, you got Ruby Red, you got Diamond White, Wild Green, and Blood Purple. They more or less mimic the magic colors of the same, with purple standing in for black. Each race has their own creatures. Green focuses on just creatures from the nature and dinosaurs. There's a lot of dwarves in this game. They mostly habit in blue and in red. There's some humans, there's some undead. It's just, oh yeah, and of course they got battle buddies. The Shin Hair, they're in green and purple, and they're just evil bunnies. So there's a whole bunch of interesting things. Let's see, I was saying something about the fact that it embraces the fact that it's digital. How about this? Chronic Madness. It's a basic action, so in Magic that would be a sorcery. It's a spell that you can only play in your own turn. You bury the top 4 cards of in target champion's deck. So basically they take the top 4 cards of their deck and they put it into the graveyard. But here it gets interesting, it has escalation. So rather than putting this in your graveyard after you cast it, you put it back in your deck, and then all copies of Chronic Madness in all zones of the game, so in your deck, in your hand, in your graveyard, all of them are affected. And the number 4, you add 4 to it. So the first time you cast one of these spells, you bury them for 4. The next time you cast any of these spells, you bury it for 8. Then the next one is 12, 16, 20, 24. This has a habit of escalating, as the name implies, rather quickly if you have a deck that's adept at finding these spells, or if you have a lot of card draw that basically just ensures that you get this spell. So that's one of the things that makes it interesting. Because you can just, with paper cards, you just can't do that unless you keep track of it at the side or something. Another one like this. At the start of your turn, create 2 ancestral specters and put them into your deck. So they just create cards out of thin air and you put them in your deck. And an ancestral specter, in Magic this would be something like a token, but here it's just it's a proper card. And it's a 2/2 flyer that whenever it enters play, you draw a card, so it's self-replacing. It's only 1 mana. So if you have a couple of these ancestors chosen, you pretty quickly can just flood your deck with those spirits, and you get a big army of spirits. Prophecy. This is a new keyword in the latest expansion, Armies of Myth. Prophecy. When this enters play, the next action in your deck gets draw a card. So the next action card, that basically it's a spell card, it gets an extra effect to draw a card. So there's a lot of things that interact with cards that might not be there yet, and there's also permanent effects. Let's see, this is the closer card. Let's see. Booby trap. Put card into your opposing into your enemy's deck. 4 booby traps, and the booby traps. So if this would enter your hand or your graveyard, void it. So basically remove it from the game, and it deals 4 damage to you. So you put 4 copies of these into your opponent's deck, and if they would draw it, the game enforces the rules. So things like this can happen without the risk of your enemy cheating. So this is really cool. You can really build around effects like that. Let's see. A card like this. Target troop gets +1 attack, +1 defense. And this is a permanent effect. That card, for the duration of the game, is modified to have that effect. So things like these stack, and even if your opponent decides to kill the card, bounce it back to your hand, put it in your deck, that card is still modified for the duration of the game. So this has some interesting effects. So if you boost a card multiple times, let's say you have a 2/2 creature and you manage to get multiple of these effects on it, and it becomes a 5/5 creature. Even if your opponent kills it, if then you manage to resurrect it, you still get your 5/5 creature. And there's also some cards that give a effect whenever they come into play. So if you manage to get that multiple times into play, that's a very nice effect. There's a keyword called inspire. For example, like this. So if Princess Victoria is in your opening hand, she gets cost -3. So rather than costing 3, her cost goes down to 0 if she's in your opening hand. Yet one of those things that the game enforces for you, so they can get away with this. Inspire, as another troop with cost equal to or greater than Princess Victoria's cost enters play under your control, that troop gets life drain. So whenever anything that's the same cost or more expensive gets into play, it gets life drain for free as a permanent modifier. But if she's in your opening hand, her cost goes down to 0. So then any troop that enters the game will get that effect. So there's a lot of really interesting things that they're doing that you can only do in a game like this. As a last one, let's see, Lodegun. It's the last card I'll show before I'll dive into the Ice Ring Arena. So, Prophet of Lodegun. When this enter play, create 3 echoes of Lodegun and put them into play. Wait, that's actually not the specific one I was looking for. There's also one with the prison. Also, there's another thing called equipment that can actually modify your cards. So in this case, if you would equip the Serenity Hood equipment into the head of your hero, I'll get to that in a bit, then all your Prophets of Lodegun will have cost -1. So rather than costing 7, they will only cost 6. So that would be 6 mana for a 3/3 with another 3 copies that are also 3/3s. So you get 4 3/3s for 6 mana. That's a pretty good deal. So, equipment. Wait, was it the prison? It was Eldron's distress signal. So, it's a constant. So you put it down and it stays in play. It's similar to enchantments in Magic. Exhaust 3 troops that you control. Transform it into Eldon the Imprisoned. So you transform the card. It's not flipping. It really becomes a different card. So this one can't attack and it can't block. And you can pay 2 mana to give something flight, and then at the end of the turn, if 3 or more of your troops that you control dealt damage to an opposing champion this turn, transform it. So if you have 3 or more troops deal damage to your enemy, you can transform it into the Liberated, and the fact that you can give flying to your troops helps with that, because then you just fly over your opponents. And then this one just can turn into Eldron the Liberated, which is a 2/4 flyer that whenever a troop you control deals damage to an opposing champion, you control a card. So the precondition for this is that you already have creatures that can attack your enemy without getting blocked, And this just boosts them, so they will also start drawing cards. So basically this helps you secure a victory by just giving you a ton of card advantage. So, champions. Besides a deck, you also choose a champion that's commanding your deck. So in case of, for example, if you have a blue deck, you could, for example, have Bertram Cragraven lead your deck. And every hero has an ability. So for this guy, if you have at least one blue threshold, basically whenever you play a land card or a shard card, you get a threshold for that color. If you have at least one blue, then you can use this ability. It's a basic ability, so you can only use it in your turn, basically anytime you could cast a sorcery. And if you pay 3 charges, yes, charges. So that's another thing that basically accumulates while you play. Then you can create a worker bot and you put it into play. So you get a 1/1 defensive robot. And robot decks, they usually synergize pretty well with robots and with dwarves. So that's pretty useful to be able to create robots out of thin air. Wyatt the Sapper, you can draw a card. And they now also have multicolored cards. So purple-white. Target troop you control get when this dies, create a phantom. And the phantom is just a 1/1 flyer. Put it into play. This one can put spiderling eggs and put them in your enemy's deck. And this is basically similar to a booby trap. Basically when this comes out, you get a spiderling. And a spiderling is a 1/1 unblockable. So your enemy doesn't want that. So you pick a hero that gives you abilities, and a hero also has 6 equipment slots that you can put items in that modify your cards. So as I said, it takes magic as a starting point and then it pushes it completely to the limits. Let's not save. So you can play this game in PvP against other players. You can play it against AI, but there's also a thing called the Frost Ring Arena. And here you pick one deck, and then you play 20 matches, up to 20 matches in a row. The first 4 of each, and there are 4 sets of 5 matches. The first 4 are just against normal enemies, and then there's a boss that has more powerful cards in their deck, better equipped, and probably just a better tuned deck. And after you defeat that, you go on to the next one. And I think you have 3 strikes, so you lose 3 times, you're out. Previous match I lost. The first 5 I had a perfect streak. So let's see how this goes. So the deck I'm playing is a dwarf artifact deck, so it has some synergies. It's a bit of an older deck, so it doesn't showcase the very latest cards. But it was pretty solid at the time I started this, and I've been just playing this on and off for the last month or so. Let's see, let's play first, because this is a relatively cheap deck. So, what did we get for the opening hand? We have 1 Sapphire Shard, so this would be, in Magic this would be an island. Just it gives 1 blue threshold. And it gives a charge, which is the resource you use to use your hero abilities. And it increases your maximum mana by 1 and your current mana by 1. So it's a land, basically. But let's see, we only get 1. We have a Gearsmith, but for the rest we're kind of starved on resources. We can... Let's see, draw again. I want at least 2 lands in my opening hand. Okay, this is better. So we got 2 ruby shards. We got sapphire shards, so we got 3 mana in total that we can play in the first 3 turns. So that's pretty good. That allows us to ramp up. Then we have a War Machinist. When an artifact enters play under your control, this deals 1 damage to each opposing champion. And I've got 2 of those. So, and once I got 3 shards played, I have enough resources to create the worker bots that will fire off both of them. The last card I got is a Pterobot. It's a 3/5 flyer. I'll magnify it for a bit. Costs 7, but its cost goes down for each dwarf and a robot I have. So I think this is a pretty decent hand. So let's keep it. Okay. So what's our opponent doing? A Wild Root Dancer. Let's see, at the start of the game, each champion chooses a target troop in their deck and creates 4 cards with that card's name and puts them into the deck. That's interesting. So I pick one of my cards and I clone it 4 times, so I have a higher chance of actually obtaining it. And their ability? Once they got a diamond and a wild threshold, they can spend 5 charges to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, put revealed plants into play. Put the remaining cards into your deck. Okay, so this one has the potential to spawn quite a bunch of creatures. What's a Wild Root Dancer? It's an elf. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Put revealed plants. Oh wait, that's just their heroic ability. Okay, yeah, I can't really do anything against that. So, all the creatures in the deck. Which one are we going to clone 4 times? Pterobot is pretty decent because it's a very solid body, 3/5. Slaughter Gear, it's unique, so you don't want too many copies of that, because you can only have one. Yeah, I'm going with Pterobot. And once I can play one, playing more is going to be easy. So let's open up with the Ruby Shard. So that gives us 1 red threshold. It gave us a charge, and it increased our resource pool limits by 1 and our current amount by 1. So we can play a War Machinist, and then we can just continue. So, enemy played a Bramble Creeper. Other plants you control get +1/+1 and Skyguard. Skyguard allows them to block flyers. That's not quite good. When this enters play, if the top card of your deck is a plant troop, put that into your hand. So it's self-replenishing if you have a plant on top. That's pretty decent. And playing this also revealed that my enemy has equipment that affects it. Okay, so the drawer clause got added by their boots. Normally they don't have it. Okay. See, and now here you see it light up as that they have that and that we know that they have it. So this could get interesting. Okay, so let's play the Sapphire Shard just to have it mixed. War Machinist. I could attack and force the enemy to, well, not force them to defend, but at best trade. But I think the War Machinist being able to deal damage for robots I play is better as a defensive creature that's not going to attack. So let's see. Let's play Ruby Shard. Technical Genius. Your artifacts in all zones have cost -1. That's, yeah. So if I play this, I will have a 3rd dwarf that will reduce the cost of the Pterobot to 4. This ability of the cost reduction also reduces the Pterobot by 1, so it goes to cost 3. Also we have our basic ability that we can use. We spawned a robot. These 2 dealt damage, so now the enemy is at 18. Pterobot is 1 cheaper. So we can play Technical Genius. Pterobot's now only 2 to play, which is ludicrously cheap. And once again, just not attacking. Once I play Pterobot, these 2 War Machines deal damage. So the deck I'm going for is just lots of weak dwarfs, with backed by just big robots. And there's a couple of other things in here that deal damage. There's like a big cannon in here that can be recharged by dwarves and things like that. Let's see, what does Divine Trap do? When this blocks a troop, that troop gets -2 attack. This is a permanent effect. That's pretty nasty. Oh. Did I mention that this Bramble Creeper gives the other ones a Sky Guard? So this crossbow icon means it's able to shoot down terrorbots. That's not quite what I would like. It's only for defensive, right? Okay, it's only when it blocks. Okay. So if we find a way to shut down the Bramble Creeper, our army of terrorbots can just fly overhead. But for now, let's wait and see. Rose Lion. Lion made out of roses. At the start of your turn, this gets +1/+1. When this attacks or blocks, it loses its power. Interesting. So it keeps growing until it attacks or blocks. And then it becomes puny again. Briarpatch Conjuror. Add a seed counter to this. Then create a Briar Legion for each seed counter on this. And put it into your deck. Ooh. Briar Legions are nasty. It has +2/+2 for each time a Briar Legion enters play under your control this game. So it keeps track of how many of these things you've cast, and each one is just bigger than the previous one. Now actually they're all get bigger. That makes it even worse. So, Battle of the Synergies. Let's see, let's play another shard. One more turn we can play a worker bot. And I could attack with the terror bot, but I could just get shot down by their archers. So this is a bit of a standoff. Let's see. Another Conjuror. End of turn. Okay. Another Sapphire Shard. Yay! Let's build another robot. Do another 2 damage. They're down to 14. Okay, so they're starting to spawn seed camps. Okay, this is getting interesting. Another Conjuror. So there's a lot of plant synergy. Those Briar Legions are just horrendous. Hey, a dwarf. So, Terrorbot now has negative cost. Okay, and I've got an empty hand and I've got enough shards to basically cast whatever I want. And it's a bit of a standoff. I have enough defensive power so that he doesn't attack me. And I have enough, and in reverse as well. Even though there's only 2 that can actually block flyers, I only have a single flyer, so that doesn't help me. And they are pretty tough. At the end of my turn, he uses his ability to get more of the Briar Legions into his deck, which now is back up to 54 cards. And he uses his ability to get the top 5 cards and see if there's any plants in there. So we got one Rose Legion and another Bramble Creeper. Ooh, that's pretty hideous. Okay, so Divine Trap. Okay, I have an opportunity to kill these, because this loses its power when it attacks. So let's see, do we have enough things we can just jump block with? Yeah. Okay, so They declare attackers. I don't do anything in response. Now I can declare defenses. And let's see, I don't really have a lot of firepower, do I? He can't kill me, so I can just use my Pterobot to block him. I do 3 damage, I need to do 6. So let's say I add my technical geniuses, that's 5 damage I deal. And let's also sacrifice a workerbot. So he does 4 damage. He can kill either my 2 tactical geniuses or a workerbot and a genius, or he can just waste it and not kill anything. And this is just 5 damage. I'm gonna let it through because this one will just deflate. Briar Legion entered the game. And he still has a rose line that's a 2-3. Okay, let's hold on to this recharge just to pretend like we have a combat spell in hand. It's not like we can actually do anything with it. Okay, he still has some sky guards, but he needs to combine all 3 to shoot me down. And in return I could shoot one of his. Is that something that's wise? Basically I would trade 1 for 1. Oh, wait. The rose lion actually keeps growing. Oh, I misread that one. This is nasty, this is nasty. Okay, I'd say for now let's stay on the defensive. Because I don't want to lose this, I need it too much for defenses. So he keeps using all of his abilities in my turn. Let's see what he does on his own turn. He attacks with a bunch of nasty Briar Legions that have been bumped up quite a bit by these guys. So yeah, I'm screwed. So that's attacking. Let's declare defenses. So let's see, block 1, block 2. This one does 5 damage. He can kill basically anything I throw at him. So let's put a genius in. Block with your head. More Briar Legions. So the amount of synergy you can get in a good deck it's crazy. Let's see. Add a fist counter to this, then deal 1 damage to a random opposing champion or troop for each fist counter on this. At the end of your turn, if this is ready, destroy it. So you need to use it every turn, otherwise it blows up. Just a little fun one-off artifact I got in here. And it enters play exhausted. So it doesn't actually do anything until next turn. I'm just getting overwhelmed with these things. So yeah, this is not gonna be a successful match, unfortunately. But as I said, this is an older deck. I think I started with this when the arena was new. They have since revamped the arena quite a bit. I mean, it's one of the current big features they're working on. So of course they're improving the decks. There's actually equipment now. I mean, when I started playing there was no equipment. It was just a future feature. So yeah, I need to bring something better against this. But that's good. It's always good to know that there's something you can't handle. If I had something that could just wipe the board, that would be nice, but then I'd need to play white or purple. Yeah. Sacrifice everything that's left. Just to draw out the inevitable. actually block that one. I only take 5 damage. More Briar Legions. A Gearsmith. When enters play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put one in here. If it's an artifact in there, put it in your hand and it gets less cost. That could be interesting. Ooh, look. Terrabot. Ooh, a Terrabot that only costs a 4. Let's see, play that shard. Then we can activate the fists. Random punching time. And I randomly punch this one. It's fun if you get it in the beginning and it just keeps on going off to basically just keep the weaker creatures of your enemy down. And the counters, they start stacking. So it's 1 damage on the first time, then it's 2, then 3, 4, 5. Every once in a while it will hit the champion. And the less creatures there are, the more often it will hit the champion. So eventually you can actually finish your opponent with this. But against overwhelming odds with really tough creatures like this, yeah, not so much. So let's go all in with our 1 Terrabot that can attack. And of course they got Sky Guards, so we get instantly massacred. And they start spawning more Briar Legions, of course they do. And at this point the game is over. Boom! All in! Let's see how negative I can get. Not even gonna block it. Let's just see how negative our health can get. Minus 46. Yeah. He got his combo off. Or she. Or it. I don't know. Okay, so. Let's see, I've been recording for over half an hour already, so I'm gonna call it here. Next up is a Blood Sphinx. That doesn't really sound promising either. So, but the Frost Ring, basically, you keep playing until you've lost 3 times in a row, and then you leave with all your rewards. So far I've got 5 gold pouches, and I got 2 treasure chests. So that's going to be stuff. Because if you can, let's see, I'll show a last thing. Inventory stash. I was one of the Kickstarter backers for this game, so I got quite some goodies when the game started in the beta. Let's see. Let's jump to the opening screen. So you can just open regular boosters. I'll open one. Oops. So it shows common cards up top. It's just a simple spell. Let's see, volume arrows. Does 1 damage to target champion or troop for each troop you control. So the more troops you got, the more damage it does. Just an artifact troop, robot beast. Revert another target troop. So this is, as I said before, troops can have permanent changes. Revert is the thing that basically changes them back into the base form. So it undoes permanent changes, which is pretty cool. Stalwart Shift, new ability. So on your turn you can activate this ability to change whatever it's listed after Shift. So in this case the Steadfast ability, which doesn't, in this case Steadfast, it doesn't cause it to tap or exhaust when attacking. With Shift you can move this ability to another creature as a one-off. So you can combine abilities this way in interesting ways. So that's a pretty cool thing. Let's see, Prophecy. So you just got all the common creatures up top. Then you got the uncommon creatures here. Localization failure. Wait, what? Interesting. Well, they're still developing the game, so this is interesting. Exhaust target opposing troop, gets at the start of each turn exhausted, then create a spiderling. So this is just more spiders. Harvest of Sorrow. Draw a card for each of your troops that died this turn. And a totem. And the rare that's been shining there. Angel of Judgment. It's Diamond Blood. It's Avatar of Justice. When another card you control enters a graveyard from play, each opposing champion sacrifices a card. So basically whenever a creature you have dies, the enemy sacrifice. That's pretty nasty. Okay, so I just opened the booster pack. I got the cards. Cool. Why is this treasure chest floating up here? Basically, anytime you get a booster, you get a treasure chest. For playing in the Ice Ring Arena, you also get treasure chests as reward, and you get gold as reward for Ice Ring Arena. With that gold, I don't really have a lot right now. You can spin it, and then basically it will play a slots machine type of game. It has a chance to upgrade the treasure chest, give you rewards, give you gold, give you cars, or whatever. But in this case, I don't. And you can also choose to open it, and it usually contains equipment. In this case, I'll stash this because I can still spin it. So I have a list of these things that say pay spin, so I can still pay to spin it. And again, I mean, for every booster pack you open, you get one of these treasure chests, and the ability to open the treasure chests didn't enter into the game until a month ago. And this is the first time since that I've actually played. So I have a lot of treasure chests that I still need to open. But I have kept one down here that I have already spinned on that I can open. So I can just throw this in. And then we open it. And it's shiny green. So that gave me a common item though. Let's see. It's a weapon slot. Your Phoenix Guard scouts have other troops you control with Phoenix Guard in their name have +1 defense. So for each of these scouts that you have in play, all other Phoenix Guard get an extra defense. So you get synergy in your deck. That's pretty interesting. Let's see. Can I currently afford? No. I can't currently afford to spin, so I can't show off that. But I think I've been going on for long enough. So if you haven't looked at HEX yet and you are interested in trading card games, I would definitely recommend looking it up. Website is on hextcg.com, and I think you can play them. I mean, there's a store where you can buy boosters, you can buy platinum that you can spend for the boosters. So as far as I know, the game is in a open beta. So give it a shot, and I hope you enjoy yourself. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.